What's up? Saturday morning here. Nice glass of coffee. Have a good day. Good day. Very impressed as always by a lot of the questions. Question box thing, still screwed up. Haven't fixed that. Probably not going to get fixed, to be honest. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything of note. Oh, with the boxes. I hope I pick Hayden's question. Hayden had a really good question about density and salt. I just don't know if I'm going to get picked. Dean had some really good questions too. A lot of good questions, but I pre-picked this one because there are a lot of people who asked this question, including, I can't read my own handwriting, Emma W, Nate C, and good old Captain America himself, Ryan B. How did Stalin die? I alluded to it a little bit, like the death of Stalin. Interesting movie. And how it was just a chaotic mess after he passes away, is a cerebral hemorrhage. That he died in his sleep. One of the crazy things about the story of Stalin's death isn't just the after thing, it was that he could have survived. And so the rule with Stalin was that once his bedroom door closed for the night, his two guards that are outside his room were not allowed to go in because the guards who had previously gone in had been killed. So Stalin was real stickler with this rule, and no one wanted to actually go in the room to get on Stalin's bad side. He just had him executed. Well, the story goes that the two guards heard a giant thud in the middle of the night, which was definitely Stalin having the hemorrhage and falling out of his bed. And because they didn't want to get in trouble with Stalin, they didn't go and check on him. So he laid there essentially in a pool of his own urine and feces for about 6 or 7 hours until finally it was one of the cooks who would deliver Stalin his food each day came in there, saw him on the ground. So even though Stalin's death's kind of crazy in itself, that's a great question. So cerebral hemorrhage. I know another question was in there was they shake up the boxes that I already screwed up. Oh no, I just got a bunch of stuff all over the place. I said it in a very calm manner for some reason. That I lost. Oh, why didn't they overthrow Stalin? Because Stalin had secret. You never plotted against Stalin because Stalin had secret police everywhere. You know who to trust. Okay, it could be a funny question, could be a serious question. There's the camera. Kennedy G, where did you get your American flag shoes? That's a serious question. My sister got them for me for my birthday. Love them. Great Sperry's. Wear them all the time. Really hammer the patriotism. Big fan of that. Could be serious, could be funny. Let's see what it is. Chandler H. What would happen if we didn't help? I can't even read this. Berlin? Oh, South Korea. My bad. Chandler, I apologize. It's me, not you. What happened if we didn't help South Korea? If you look at what is going on currently in North Korea, which is basically a prison colony where tens of thousands of people are in forced labor camps, there's mass starvation, and the government basically controls every part of your life. That's what happened in South Korea. So the justification for the South Korean War is just look at North Korea, and that's what happened to everyone in South Korea. So there you go. Chandler, good question. Funny question or serious question? Let's find out. Matthew H. How are spies able to communicate with their home countries while they're away? Serious question. So it depends. Something called a dead drop. That's a thing where they would put the message or they'd put the information inside this in this canister, and then if you try to open it, it would explode. So it would kill you and it would destroy all the information inside. That was one way they did it. Sometimes it was really simple stuff, just hey, you would be running in the park and you would just drop information. The person behind you who was your handler would pick up the information. So the way it worked was, regardless of the apparatus you use, hollowed out pumpkins, that was a real thing. Using light signals, was you had a handler inside the country who was in charge of a certain number of agents, and then you would give the information you got to the handler, and then that person would then forward that information to the main offices, and then from there intelligence agents would then determine the validity of your information and things like that. That was kind of the KGB command structure was. The American and the CIA spying structure was similar. They had people called operations officers. That'd be the people on the ground, and then you'd have collections officers, CMOs, collection management officers. But it's very much just you had this top-down approach where Operations officer would get the information, give it to the COs. The COs would give it to the CMOs, and the CMOs would then give it to the analysts. But you would have individuals all working together inside of a country to get that information then out of the country. How they got it out of the country, there were other things too. You would have it because these were individuals who were working inside of embassies. They had diplomatic immunity, and so people didn't we kind of knew they were spies, but we couldn't officially charge them with it because there wasn't enough evidence, and so they could freely move from country to country. And that's a lot of how the Russians got there. That's a really good question, Matthew. Great question. Funny question, serious question. I think it's a serious question. What were Korean War tactics? Ashton G. Great question. They're actually pretty conventional. They're very similar to World War II tactics, where it was a lot of use mass force, use tanks, use conventional weaponry, set up your ground attacks with air cover, things like that. Korean War is actually very similar to World War II in terms of a lot of the tactical side of things. Vietnam is the game changer in terms of how the war just played out differently. That's a great question. I love my tactical questions. Those are good questions. Funny or serious, it could be either one. Lily K. Lily, love this question. Is the coronavirus stupid? I think we don't agree this is stupid. I'm not saying the stay-at-home order stuff's stupid. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is just the coronavirus in general. This is awful. No one enjoys this. So if that's our metrics, yeah, it's stupid. Great question. Because it's stupid, and I wish we were still actually in school then. This serious or funny? Will there be a World War III? Franklin C. Hopefully not. A similar question I saw from someone else was if I think it was Riley W. If World War or if another Cold War were to break out, how would it happen or how would it escalate? There's some people in foreign policy communities that believe we are currently in a Cold War with China. That's not an official actual war, but certainly there's a lot of tension and animosity between us. Both sides have too much to lose. And that's the thing. There's a lot of American policymakers that believe wars for now, might not be large country versus large country. It can be large country against a smaller country who's supported by a larger country. That way the war doesn't break out into full out, hey, here's our 3 million person army against your 3 person million army. So that's if World War III were to happen, that's probably the most likely scenario. Rural countries are kind of the bigger concern because they have nothing to lose. Those countries are a little more scary. There's a few out there. Funny or serious. If you could meet anyone in history, who would it be? Ty H. I think Churchill would be a fascinating guy to meet. Churchill might be the most important person of the 20th century. He's a unique individual too, where he was just smoking and drinking all the time. But he had the unique ability where he could understand evil and call it out for what it is when other people couldn't. He was one of the first people in Europe to be saying, hey, here's the heads up on Hitler, don't trust this guy. He was also one of the first people in the world that said, hey, the Stalin guy in communism, we can't trust these people, the system. And so that's unique. Most people don't save the world once in their lifetimes. Churchill, you can definitely make the case he saves the world twice in 1940, 1941. He'd be fascinating. I think George Washington would also be up there and people I would be very curious to meet. Because we look at him as this person on this pedestal, this almost perfect human being, and he wasn't. He was a flawed person just like everyone else. And so I think it'd be interesting to see who Washington really was. Funny or serious, could be either one. I think it's serious. It's serious. Did the Russians listen to our threat of did the Russians trust or listen to our threat of dropping the atomic bomb? It depended. With Truman, they didn't. They really didn't think Truman would actually do it. However, you don't want to think wrong on that. Eisenhower, it was a little more convincing he actually would, just because of his military credentials. But it sounds like from unclassified Soviet documents, they never really thought we would actually use nuclear weapons to start a war, at least not until the late 70s, early 80s, and it actually wasn't a bad thing for us. But most Russian leaders did not actually believe, or Soviet leaders would not actually believe that we were actually going to drop them. Another question as I'm going through this is when I say Russians and Soviets are the same thing, yeah, I like interchangeable terms. Oh, interesting question. Funny question. How have you ever tried iced coffee because it's better than hot coffee? Dina R. Dina, no. Why would I want cold coffee? I like my coffee piping hot. I like it so hot that it actually burns my mouth a little bit. You can really feel it going down. I live in America. I don't have to drink cold coffee if I don't want, like, to drink cold coffee. Last time I checked, we fought a war, so I don't have to drink cold coffee. That's good warm coffee. A little bitter, to be honest. So have I tried iced coffee? Yeah, I actually have. It's not bad. So forget everything I said previously. Dina, I actually don't mind iced coffee, but warm coffee is obviously better. Funny or serious question? Oh, Riley D. You went with a really serious question. That's a tough one for me to answer. Eisenhower Truman, why? Who's a better president? So, like, when people rank presidents, they're like ranked almost right next to each other every single time. They're the two most compared presidents in like maybe even presidential history, just because they're so similar. I'm gonna go with Eisenhower just because a lot of the stuff he did, it was called the hidden hand presidency. He did so much behind the scenes that the American public had no idea about that helped us eventually win the Cold War, like the interstate highway system, him modernizing the U.S. military, things like that. Truman, with that being said, Truman was a very good president too. Like, both are very good presidents, and we kind of lucked into having two really strong leaders at the start of the Cold War. You could add in 2.5 with the first few years of Kennedy administration, and that really set us up for success long term. Even though then we had a really bad run of presidents kind of in the middle. Okay, I'm gonna end with a funny one. We're at 11:30. It's not a funny one. So maybe this is the funny pile, or I'm just gonna end the video. We're gonna see. Serious question. I'm sorry. Serious question. Let's go with funny one. Come on, funny one. Ooh. What is your favorite holiday? Evan J., what is your favorite holiday? 4th of July, obviously. Even though I also enjoy Christmas. But 4th of July. See the pillow? 4th of July. My house is patriotic. It's not 4th of July. Or it's Christmas. It's 4th of July. Okay, that was jarring. So, great job, guys. It's a great weekend. Really nice weekend. Get outside. Do some barbecuing. Like you do on the 4th of July. Personally, I think today I'm going to have a nice burger. A couple burgers. 50 burgers. I'm going to have 50 burgers today, 50 hamburgers. Let's see what happens. Like, there might not be videos next week because I've eaten 50 hamburgers and I've died. It's very possible. So I'm going to eat 50 cheeseburgers with some bacon, a little bit of chipotle mayo on top. I'm excited for it. You should be excited for it. It's a great weekend. Believe in yourself. Believe in the country. Drink a lot of coffee. Warm coffee. Unless you're Dina, you can drink cold coffee because we have the freedom to do that. All right. I got nothing else. See you later. There it is. Catch you on the flip side.